Okay, so now all I do is go over here, I make this bigger, or I attempt to, because I don't know what I'm doing and I can't drive. See, there we go. So if you maximize that, we just do.
Come this way, right?
No, right now there's. Okay, do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Yes, we do have a for a second here, I'm trying to get my words right here. To the
Okay, yeah. So we're gonna add,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna make a motion to add an agenda item regarding hiring of a new town clerk treasurer. All in favor?
I will second that.
Sounds good.
In favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. We need to look at these things that need to be
What'd I miss?
signed.
Nothing fun?
Motions and some signatures that we have to do to remove Maggie from all of the bank signing things. Okay, so I'm making a motion we have to remove Maggie's name from all of the bank accounts. And that's what we're doing currently. Okay, so I make a motion to remove Maggie McCormick as signatory on 10 accounts held at National Bank of Middlebury and Community Bank.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
The second one is I make a motion to add Rebecca Becky Condon as a signatory on 10 accounts held at National Bank of Middlebury and Community Bank until a new clerk treasurer starts.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I make a motion that the current assistant clerk, Donna Oliver, be signatory and administrator of PIN accounts held at National Bank of Middlebury and Community Bank.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, so we just need to sign these. All motions carry. Nice.
Thanks, Kathy.
Everybody signed in on the sign-in sheet? Okay, thank you.
John's back. Is that yours?
It was with the sign-in sheet.
Oh, okay.
Probably ours. Okay, so she's- Yep. That is done. Okay, so, I would. Right here. We're gonna open it up for public comment. Just give me a second, I'm gonna try to. Oh, yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
Just for everybody's knowledge, that Telling and Hillman, that is our people who do our audits, our professional audits, that we've dealt with the last 9 years or 10 years almost. Mr. Telling has a extreme disease and he's unavailable to do audits. And so that just leaves Sam Hillman to do audits. And with that, she's overwhelmed and she said, I cannot have time to produce an audit for you. She offered a letter to basically say that it's not the town's fault, it's her fault. But after calling BLCT and confirming her that position, that is unacceptable. So we're going to have to find an accountant and somebody else to go through our books to do that, because you just can't put a letter in. You actually have to. Town meeting is only for one reason only. That is to show the financial statements, and everything else is just fluff.
Hasn't this been going quite a while that it's been sick?
No, we found out today.
Earlier in the earlier meetings that we had, you mentioned that we couldn't get home, so this has been an
No.
ongoing.
No, that's
No.
not true, John. What they told us, they would be able to do it in January.
Okay.
And January is like cutting it like right to the edge, because I have to give a notice. I think a 45-day notice on the town meeting, and I have to give a report on that. So they were gonna cut right to the edge, and today she just called and says, it's not gonna happen. And Heinsberg's, a huge world of problems because they have the same issue, and they've already had their audit. But it has to be confirmed by the auditor. They have accountants that go in and they look at the books and they adjust it, and then the auditor then gives the final blessing, if I'm correct, Mr. Cook. Right?
Is that correct?
On an audit, when an auditor comes in, the accountants basically do the work, make the cake, and then the auditor looks at the cake and gives the final blessing, and it's good. That's simple.
Yeah, I don't know, who'd you say did the work?
The accountants.
Who are the accountants?
No, in
CPAs.
general, yeah, CPAs, in general.
Yeah, the audit firm comes in and does an audit, and the audit is typically the accounting records are all done, they just audit the numbers and
Correct.
express an opinion.
So that's the problem. There's
So-
only one auditor who works for Telling. Yes,
I think that's my town report sitting up there.
Oh, yeah, you want that?
Well, we wonder where it came from.
I passed it around,
okay.
Thank you.
So that's where we stand with that. And it's been
So we're, going to be looking to figure out how to move through this and figure out what our next steps are. We would have to figure out, we talked to the LCT today, and, they're gonna help guide us in that direction of what do we do now. So, but again, we found this out today. Okay? Yes,
Are we still in public comment?
yes.
I haven't had a chance to go through the new one here. Did you put anything in the budget for a PA system?
I don't think there's anything in there yet. This is not a final budget.
Okay,
Yeah.
but are you going to
That's,
consider it?
it's on the list of things to consider when we look at everything. So it's on the list that I generated last time.
I do have a couple other questions.
Okay.
Okay, I see there's nothing in the older one version where the book restoration or record preservation. Is that because all of Canton Books have had that done to them?
Yes, we've gone back 50 years. Everything's been digitized for the last 50 years. So when somebody comes in and does a records on purchasing a home, they can do it two ways. Either they can physically come in here and look on our computers on all the items, or they can actually do it online, and then they pay a fee of X amount for looking at and also copying pages.
I was talking about all the old books.
We will not go back more than 50 years because transfers of properties and stuff like that. They'll be in the safe, but they will not be going back like that. It was excruciatingly expensive just to go back 50 years. That came out of our ARPA funds that we received as, you know, with solar panels and stuff like that. So that's what we purchased with that, because that is not a very glamorous thing. And if I would tell the public that we're going to spend $50,000 on having our books looked at, people would go, I don't want to spend that kind of money on them.
Well, I think that's why it was just a little bit each year to do like one book or something.
Yeah, it's massive. And it took weeks for 3 people in here to copy all those records. Going back a long ways, yes, it did. Trust me.
Any other public comment? Melissa?
I just wanted to ask you, are you going to do a background check on the new employees?
Yes, I talked around Redmond today on one of my many things, and yes, the trouble is the state of Vermont does not use NCIS, which is a background investigation from the country. They only do a background investigation for the state of Vermont. That's all the state of Vermont does, which is, we're the only state that just does that. Everybody else is in the network. So we're going to do the state of Vermont background investigation. And if we deem that we need to go deeper, then we will. So that's what we'll go from there. And we're discussing if the person needs to be bonded too. We're considering that too. So, yes,
They don't have to be bonded to be a town clerk?
I don't know.
I think they do.
Well, you know, I can't speak with authority on that, so I will say I don't know.
Will you investigate that?
I will look at that tomorrow.
Thank you.
Any more public comment?
Okay, so we're gonna continue staring down this revised budget. Many of the things that we had ahead of us last time have been addressed and put in here, so it should be a much more worker-friendly set of numbers than before. So I guess the question is, do we want to start at the top at revenue? I mean, we saw some questions, but we're
Since we
still
have
working
Rick
on it.
here, and so we can
Oh, yeah.
utilize this time.
Let's do highway.
Let's do the highway.
Sorry, Rick, of course, you're next.
You can see it now.
Just so quiet.
Well, I don't know, I didn't hear my numbers.
You don't have your numbers?
I got my numbers.
Okay, well, that's
I don't
okay.
know who did these.
That's okay. Why don't you give us your numbers and then we'll input them as necessary and then we'll have a better idea of what you're looking for based on what's available, so.
Why don't you stop at highway administration and garage expense?
Oh,
It's page 5 of 6.
yeah, I don't have it. See, I got, this is what I was gonna do.
Okay, all right, good then.
Yeah, I didn't get nothing like that.
Oh, well, we just printed it off right before the meeting, that's why.
Yeah, tonight.
I believe that.
Is that yours, Kathy? I know, the floor.
No, that was, I brought that up
It
to
was
sign in.
the sign-in sheets.
Yep.
I'm not sure if it's-
Okay.
I brought it.
Community pen.
So highway building maintenance,
Uh-huh,
I left at $2,000 just because of the overhead doors and the openers.
okay,
And, you know, we had that guy that backed into the garage that we couldn't find out who did it. That broke that column.
mhm,
Yep.
Then education, that is pretty much, we go to local roads now and the road foremans are doing a lot of it. It's only $300, so I can't see keeping that.
Well,
so you don't need the 250?
Yeah, we can.
No,
knock that.
it was 300, I see she knocked it down to 250.
Rick, let me ask you this question. When you have the gatherings at the town of Canton.
We have that under miscellaneous
Okay.
there.
Okay,
We'll get to that.
okay, so we
Okay,
can
great.
cross off that 250,
Okay.
Yeah,
okay,
electrical, heating and all that, I have no idea.
right, that comes through that, town
Yeah.
clerk,
Yep.
okay? Supplies,
Shop supplies,
oh, yeah,
that covers nuts, bolts, wire ties, all that too, toilet paper, towels, all that, and I left that at 5,000.
Okay.
okay,
Phone, internet is nothing I do.
yeah,
Small tools, which. Let's see here. I got it at 1,800.
okay, she put it 2,000, is 18 still good?
I think 18's good, you know.
Okay,
I know the floor air jack there was like $800, $900.
okay,
Remember, Rick, let's not make these things that you run short on these things. You know, we want to make sure you have all the stuff we need. I don't want to like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden we go, I need this. So,
Why do you need new tools every year? He's been getting tools for, he's
okay,
just.
hang on, we're gonna let him go through his budget first.
Trash, I don't do uniforms. I left right at 800.
You left at 8, okay,
Which one did you leave at 8?
Uniforms, I don't do that long.
Okay. and then highway miscellaneous, that's what you were talking about
Yeah,
before.
just $300.
And you want it at 3, or she has it at 7, you want it to stay at 3?
I think I got it at 350, 250 or 350.
Okay, let's go to 350,
Let me find what I got.
okay,
Is that resident?
I got it at 250
at 250,
because we only host 2 meetings that we have to furnish lunches for and all
so,
you think $125 will cover one of your lunches?
that. Well, usually we do the hamburgers and I make french fries and stuff. I try to get out as cheap as I can. I don't go buy 35 pizzas like the other ones do. And we've had good luck doing it that way.
okay, whatever you think. I mean,
Yeah, I think 250 is more than fair. on
okay, this is under, is highway miscellaneous,
Yeah, for road forum meetings, what I put it under.
And how much do you want?
250,
Same as it is.
no,
Nope.
it's at 700 right now. The green line is the new budget.
Oh, I'm not. I'm gonna get the wrong sheet. Let's read it there.
Okay,
I left tobacco at,
the blue is what you had it at with last year.
yeah. I left that at 15.
Okay,
The grader is at 5.
okay,
The hydro seeder, the seed mulch fertilizer, 500 is good on that.
okay,
The miscellaneous repairs, which is the jumping jack, camper, chainsaws and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And the Honda motor on the chloride trailer, is what that covers.
is
I
12, is $1,000?
$1,000.
1,000 good for that?
Yeah.
Okay, The loader, that we have at 4,000?
Well, we got it at 4, I had that at 5. I put $4,445 into it this year because I don't have a cat
Okay.
computer to work on it.
That's okay, we can put that at 5.
You get that. The mower, I put at 1,200.
Okay, because,
Blades.
The blades, the shoes, and plus we're rebuilding the deck on it.
okay,
Okay.
And then I got the plows, I left at 10 grand, and I just called up today to get my order in, and it comes in about 9,700
great, perfect,
for all.
Is that-
amazing.
Is that cutting it really close? Do you think you can have a price increase or anything like that, or is that guy pretty stable on that price?
Well, I gotta pick it all up.
Cool.
But basically, that's what we go through, you know,
In a regular
if we
winter.
get more snow, then I don't go through as much because it's cooling the blades.
Yeah, right,
Yep.
And lately, it ain't that way.
Mhm.
okay.
Okay,
The tractor, I brought down to 1,000.
great,
Find that here.
Go.
tractor,
Yeah.
yeah, we have 1,000.
What else is there?
Mack truck excavator.
I left the
crack
Mac at 3,000, this is a DF pump.
sewer. Okay,
Excavator I left at 1,000, which covers the hoses and all that.
Okay.
A crack sealer. I left it at 350, I see she's got it at 300, but it's because I got a half pallet of crack sealer left over.
okay.
So 350 is the number you want?
That's what I should be if I gotta buy a half pallet for some reason.
Yeah, we'll put it at 350. And,
And that one. I think the other dump truck should be good, everything should be under warranty.
so we,
Well, filters and stuff like that?
I usually take that out of my lubricant line.
Okay,
okay, so
So-
this is zeroed
so
out.
the $500, you don't need $500 for that.
I mean, for $500, I'd leave it there, just mud flap or something gets ripped off.
No, it's probably a good
That
idea.
ain't gonna be warranty.
Yeah.
The bridge repair,
Mm-hmm,
I left at $200 because it's usually 5 gallons of linseed oil and whatever it takes to scrub the bridge down, which we've got to do right off
okay,
Yeah, right.
when I pressure wash it. Contracted service, I left at 6,000,
okay,
and which I'll show you guys all the pictures, what we found there, because I got called back out Thursday night. Fuels I don't do, and I don't know what the deal is here with the guardrails,
mm-hmm,
because Lafayette ain't coming out of Williston to work on guardrails.
okay,
I mean, last couple guardrails got hit by cars, I've been able to get hold of the insurance and get paid. But we got, sometimes that don't happen,
Right.
okay.
you know.
250 is a reasonable number.
I don't think 250 will come, they won't come out for that. I don't think they'll come out less than 500,
No, that's-
you know. And we've tried doing guardrails before and that doesn't work good. Cause they're spring
So you want to
loaded.
put 500?
Yeah. Did you is culverts staying at 10,000?
Well,
I know, this is a tough one.
I don't know how you guys wanna do that. I mean, everybody can look at this. The handwritten ones are the prices, what they're costing me right now. And that gives you back to 20, what I was paying for them, because they kept that price for a couple of years.
Okay,
But they doubled. You know, and that's per foot.
right,
And it's 20-foot lengths, and most culverts we put in are 40 feet to get all the way across the road and have it so it ain't off the edge.
Yeah, right, I understand.
Those numbers are way low for the prices on there.
these are, he has them
I
double,
got the updated ones too.
the updated ones.
And I mean, well, Tommy's got a culvert he wants done. I mean, Doug Dale's got one over on East Road.
Mhm.
which, you know, I don't know how to handle, because they're all 5-foot culverts.
Right.
I could culvert.
And the one over on East Road, the squash one, well, Richard knows where I'm talking.
Is that like a box culvert you're talking about putting in?
No, it's a metal squash. Because we tried, how many years ago was it? We tried digging that out down through there to get it to drain. And it's just too flat there. I can't get it to run, but the state seems to think if I put a second culvert in there, it's gonna relieve that pressure up above.
Yes,
Am I right in saying that in the state of Vermont passed a law that the town is now responsible for culverts in police driveway, which might increase the expenses for culverts, is that true?
That hasn't come through yet.
What?
They're talking about where we're gonna have to do all driveway culverts because it's in the town right away and
Okay.
it's town drainage.
So that hasn't come to fruition. so
Right,
you don't know that's
Because that's what scares me. I think we should be doing them.
Right, and I
but
said if it
I go-
passes, you're gonna need more money. for
Right.
culverts.
But you go, some people, you know, they ain't gonna pay to get their driveway culvert done. Just, that's the way it is.
Right.
You know, I don't know how else to handle it, because I got a couple right now, I know it needs to be done.
Or do people build a house and get the culverts
Right, you know,
if they pass it?
and it used to be, people that built a new house paid for the first culvert, then the town took it over, I think, is the way it used to go. But I don't know. But, you know, you start looking at 25, 30 driveways, and that's why I said, you know, pick like 4 or 5 a year.
Right, that's what I was bringing up.
And
I didn't
try
think the
to-
state was gonna pass that law.
Yeah, I know they're talking about it, but I don't know if it's gonna happen or not. 'Cause, you
well,
know,
it's also time and material that we're sitting there, where it usually takes 2 guys to do that, and we're talking gravel, we're talking everything that goes with that. And, you know, and the price of fuel that we get that.
oh, then you got all the farmers driveways, you know, if you're gonna do a driveway, you're gonna do them all.
So Rick, I have a question. If you were gonna buy culverts, like, would you be buying like a 20-foot length of each of these? Or?
No, I'd go around and figure out which ones I need. I try not to have a lot on hand. I guess.
Yeah, no, that
You
makes
know,
sense.
For emergency at the garage, we do have like, I think 8, 9.
Yeah, cause if we did 20 feet of each of the ones that you have the new prices for.
Right,
It comes up to like 12,000, almost $13,000
And it takes
for
40
of these,
it-
for these 8.
yeah, and that's only 20 feet.
Right, that's what I'm
And it
saying.
usually takes 40 feet to
So,
get across the road with a culvert.
okay, so
So basically.
how do you think is the best way to play this? I mean, I guess for me, the question is, do we have a priority of culverts up to
right
say
now I got-
$15,000?
Right now, I got 2 priorities, and it's right on Panton Road.
Uh-huh.
I got the pictures of it.
Mhm.
Is that the one with the cones?
That one, it's gotta be changed, but this is the one down the road at Bobby Hall's house. And I'm trying to get V-Trans down here and see if I can get some emergency funding. That's where it's washing down, but it's all,
Picture of that, Rick?
huh?
You want a better picture of that?
Well, if you got one, could you bring it over here,
That would
brother?
be great.
But you can see it, and, I mean, I had people look at it, and they go, if I don't get it done this soon, I'm gonna lose that road.
Yeah. Oh, well, we
And that's how
definitely
much
need
of
to
that
get done.
culvert's sticking out of the ground. And there's probably 15 to 20 feet under it.
So,
And I told them to price it out 2 ways. We can put a bypass road in,
uh-huh,
which I'll have to take back out, or give me a price to close the road and send the traffic for 2 days down West Road. So that's what that looks like right there.
okay, so if,
Where's keeping it?
You want to pass this around or?
Dave's got a better picture they're gonna see.
so Rick, if we said something along the lines of culverts, you know, priority culverts up to $15,000
Yeah, I'd like to,
to make sure that you have a budget for the ones that have to be done, maybe plus a couple extra. I mean, what makes the most sense to you?
That's where it's a tough call, you know, cause like them two on Pease Road, I never dreamed they were gonna come out of the ground,
Mhm.
you know? And
Right.
That's where it makes it tough, sure, I do culvert.
Right,
I'd say, I'd leave it at 15,000.
15,
And like this one down here, where this, I'm gonna apply for the structures grant for that one down by Bobby's.
okay,
But all the contractors that looked at so far says I gotta put, big hand stone on it to keep it for this winter. So I was gonna talk to Larry Minor, cause he's the chief I know of, cause I don't want that big stone in my herd truck, smashing the bodies.
That's still a band-aid.
Yeah, but they'll be able to use that as they do the culvert to get under it. Cause I mean, under the culvert, it's 15 feet down.
You got water lines and telephone lines and
Just water there.
just water line there?
Vermont Gas ain't got that far yet.
Telephone company over there?
Yep.
Okay, let's move on, Rick.
so we'll put that at 15.
Fuels and oil, I don't do that. But that's, I've been running my DF fluid out of there, which is 355 gallon drum.
Yep.
And we go through 2.5 to 3 drums a year.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know where the fuel prices are. Retreatment, I left at 100 grand, it used to be 115. And road signs, I left at 500.
Okay,
Summer material, I brought down to 40,000.
Okay. Great.
The winter budget, cause salt was $100 a ton and stuff, not knowing how much I'm gonna use or anything.
Right.
I brought that down to 45 just cause the way the winter's going. Coal patch, we used to be at 600 and I brought that down to 300. And that, you know, that way if I have to buy a pallet, I can do it. I've been doing it in bags
Okay,
instead of buying it bulk and having it halfway hardened on us.
okay,
yeah, right.
so 300 you said?
Yep. And lubricants, it's $1,100 a barrel for motor oil and it's $1,200 for hydraulic oil.
So we need $2,500.
And that's what it used to be
Do you
at.
want, can you like, is that number pretty firm or do you think it's gonna change, you think?
I
I just don't want.
doing the budget this time of year, they won't give me an exact price. I know Pikes went up on me 3
I'm
times.
just
last year.
concerned about going to the idea that I'm firm on $1,200, whatever you said there, and just say, you know, all of a sudden, you know, because
Right.
oil just is like,
So do we want to go to 3,000 just in case? For that one, just in case we have, in case
We
those
can,
prices
I mean,
jump up?
I won't, if I don't use it, I ain't spending it.
Okay.
On which one?
Lubricants.
Because the grease and all that comes out of that.
Okay. Okay.
construction.
That's the subtotal for that.
I have a question. So I think I heard you for 700,000 for paving. So you've got 200,000 in here for state aid for paving.
Yeah, that's it.
Before she had 200 for paving expense, it comes to 0. So we're now adding 100,000 to pay.
Correct.
Net.
Correct.
That-
We have 300 in we have 300, this is our big paving year, right? We have 300 in our sites, but we won't go over 100 if we don't get the state grants.
So tell how the grant works.
It's a 90-10 match. I use our 10% match. I deduct our hours and trucks when we do the shoulders and all that, because I don't hire it out like a lot of the towns do. So they call it in-kind service. That all covers that 10%. And that's like with if I get a structures grant, it's a 90-10. So we'll run our trucks or backhoe compactors, you know, to get our match, so it ain't costing out of pocket.
So how many miles do we do this year in the budget?
For paving, just under a mile. And I got a thing here, Kevin, it's class I went. And I mean, try to do a 8-12 year turnaround on all the
Right,
paved
I was thinking if
roads.
we have 10 miles of paved road, it's basically every 10 years, we're kind of doing one. So every 10 years.
So when I get the grant, try to get almost 3 miles. Where I don't, like East Road, I had to split.
Yeah.
You know, like Lake Street, and this year I want to do Button Bay and all the way down through here. But because of them culverts on Pease Road and all that, it's gonna cost me X amount of dollars, or just have them pay that. So it wouldn't cost for the patchwork, where them 2 culverts came out.
Can I ask?
Yes, please.
Can you put a road sign on the 22A end of West Road? I think there was one there at one time, but as usual, they disappeared.
I can't touch anything in 100 feet of the state road. I can call and get it done. What is it for a sign?
There's no sign that says that that road is West Road.
Oh, that's gone again?
Yeah. I mean, I think there was a little green one there at one point.
Yeah, the state.
Well,
I
it's
can-
not there now.
I can make that phone call. I didn't notice that one, because I noticed the one on Adams Ferry Road again.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they disappeared.
Rick, my friend, what else?
What else you got?
Yeah, for us, or do you need something from us? Do you have any questions for us?
I want to know what you guys think on those culverts. I'm trying to get a price on that. And I'm gonna try and get hold of Larry Minor and just see if I can stabilize that bank
Yeah, I think,
for the winter.
I mean-
and apply for the structures grant.
what, I mean,
Because we had the structures grant, and I was trying to figure out why we had to turn it back in, and I went back to the notes, and it was because of COVID, and I couldn't get called.
So, Rick, let me tell you this, being on the TAC committee, let me talk to Mike Winslow, if I can see if I can get him to come down here and eyeball this thing out.
I got him coming tomorrow.
oh, nice,
Okay, great.
great.
What time is that?
He doesn't know yet, he's gonna call me.
Okay, well, give me a call so I can talk to him, because I'm in those committee meetings, so I can sit there and try to get this passed through there, because,
Because I'm trying to get hold of Jim Coda, because I know the state has emergency funding.
yeah, right.
And we went through enough of this storm deal, which I think we should be more than classified for it.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, let's, I guess the question that I have is, it seems like having to build a bypass and then take the bypass out would be more disruptive and more expensive than having people go down West Road, but then the people on West Road might think that was quite disruptive to have everybody going that direction.
It's only gonna be a couple days.
It's only a couple of days, I mean, what do you think?
Well,
I got him pricing it out both ways.
Okay, perfect.
Well, the other thing we have to consider is, fire and police and ambulance, because.
Oh, we have to call Shelburne every time we close the road.
Yeah, well, I just know, but they have to really pre-plan them, all those things.
Yeah.
Because I'll have to call the milk trucks and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The milk trucks are gonna make.
Yeah,
about
let us know
70.
which one you think is less, is more economical and which one, then what your opinion.
I think
which one
what
makes
I
most
got
sense.
left this year, my summer budget, and I'll do that first one that we can do.
Okay, that's great.
And the other one, I gotta get a structures grant, because that's over 30 feet deep.
Okay,
All right, yeah,
Okay.
we have nothing to touch that.
okay. Okay, well, keep us posted on that, about how that's
So
gonna
call me
be.
tomorrow when
Yep.
your mics come down, and so I can make sure I'm in the game next week.
Yep.
Okay.
Just another question, while we're here.
Sure, this is the ideal time to ask Rick all these questions, everybody.
So we're gonna talk about reserve funds, I'm assuming another time, but why, is there anything in the fiscal 26 budget planned for building capital, I should say capital, for the capital equipment? Or are we saying zero?
For for
Right now, we don't
building
have any-
anything or
Well,
buying
the
anything?
capital equipment, what we do on that is we try to make a savings account and put X amount of dollars in there, so.
Right, but like last year, we did the pickup and the dump truck, and we had to get loans, which creates payment, and we didn't have enough money in those accounts. We still don't have a lot of money in that capital equipment account. So what I'm asking is there any capital?
Oh, for
equipment
equip-
plan
for equipment?
26? Okay.
Not for equipment.
Okay.
Oh, I thought you were talking about road improvement.
No capital equipment.
The only thing I do know is a few things at the garage are not legal. And, because they're not double walled and there's no fire extinguishers, so.
But we are looking to start saving money
Exactly, and we'll do that when we do the reserve.
when we
fund.
talk about
Yeah,
it, because we need to replace the loader. It's just falling down around our ears.
Yep.
So.
The only other thing, Teresa, I noted, you may have noted this already. The only thing, if you go back to the highway admin garage expense,
Uh-huh.
you just need to add in the loan payments for the 110 state of Vermont loan that we're gonna have to make that year, and the community bank loan we have on the international truck. Those two loan payments, they're gonna come up to, I think, about $75,000, but those have to be added in.
Okay, I'll let Becky know.
What's the condition of the loader?
Pretty rough, cab and stuff's pretty rocky. And it's got, I think, it's got almost 60,000 miles on it, but the hours are unreal. And I know it's gonna need an injector pump.
I think we replaced the center pin. When was that, Rick?
Probably 4 or 5 years ago, I did all the center pin,
It's just like,
and I did the center pin and the grader.
the loader's in rough shape, really. It'll make the winter, but we have to really start thinking about that.
It'd be a used one, there's no need for a new one. No. I mean, we took
There's no
that,
need for a new one?
not a new one.
No, we get it used.
We paid that one, and we've had it for 15 years. I found that up in Brunswick, Canada, and got it delivered down here for, I think, it's
So you can still fix.
yeah. Just I ain't no body man.
Uh-huh.
I ain't no body man.
Yes,
I just confirmed the numbers you picked up and stuff are in the materials.
Okay, so they're on page,
We leave it- I think we were leaving it the
Six.
same, right?
No, I lowered
What are they?
summer road materials was 40,000,
40.
and the winter road materials was 45,000.
In the winter, it just hurt, I don't know what, the winter.
It'll be what it
They're
will be.
saying mild, but we're
Yeah.
saying.
No, if it's mild, then actually,
the only trouble with mild is it gets slick roads
Yeah.
and more salt and sand. And I'll just say this, out of most of our stuff, we use probably hardly any salt at all. 90% that we use is highway sand, and we are very limited on salt and,
no, the sugar beet juice is helping us.
We're still paying twice as much as most towns for a road, maintenance, so I don't know what to say about all this, but we can't afford it. So that's the bottom line here. I'm not gonna cross-examine and go after every little bit, but Mary did the study, and the study proved that Patton is paying almost twice as much as neighboring towns per mile to maintain our roads. It's not acceptable. So you three need to sharpen your pencils somehow to get this in order. Our budget went up 33% in 1 year. It's not sustainable. We can't
Thank
do
you.
this. And you three need to, however you have to do it, look at these figures and make some cuts somewhere. We're coming here to help you do that because we were remiss in not overseeing you. We didn't think we had to. But our budget rose 33%. It's not possible to continue this way.
Thank you for your comment. Can you get this together? And there's a lot of the things that you emailed me about, Maggie, we fixed them and addressed them, so I have the, just the stuff that she,
Oh, okay.
okay?
Thanks, Rick.
What do you have to say about that?
I'm going on his expertise. That's what I'm going with.
Howard, you know, we were here, at least I wasn't. You passed the budget without any of the public participating.
Because people didn't show up, not because they weren't invited.
I say we're guilty, okay?
Okay,
All right, I'm included.
okay, perfect.
I'm not going into the reasons why, because I'm not here to cause an argument. The fact remains that we can't afford this kind of a budget. We're paying twice as much as is reasonable. So what are you gonna do about it?
I think that maybe the way we can investigate is to find out, Mary had the graph, but I would love to see the details that the graph came from. That shows, because I just saw the graph of us as compared to other towns for our paving budget, but I didn't see the data that went along with the graph, so I would just love to see that in a little bit more depth. Great, so again, so I will go in and do that, and we'll look at it, and maybe talk to some of the other road foremen, find out what they're doing, maybe that's different than what we're doing. Okay. Okay.
The most interesting part was the towns that had similar number of lines.
Okay,
So if you know.
no, it was an interesting graph for sure, I
You
just,
don't need to look at all of them. Two that are closest.
okay.
I think. You think report, probably. I've already done that. You gotta really dig into the details there after, and now I know. Is it Canton, Waltham, Madison, Western, Waltham, yeah, sure, yeah, well, it's just data. It's just data, but I'm saying. I think Moncton is pretty close. You know, traffic on equipment and stuff is
Mary, can you read those towns to me again? I'm sorry. Can you read the towns that you had there?
Canton, Waltham, Madison, Worthing, Leicester, Granville, and Waverly.
Okay, thank you.
And I give you another copy of this if you want.
No, it's, I remember seeing the graph, I just want to kind of get the context of it all, and that's fine. I appreciate that.
And I broke it down into labor costs and non-labor costs.
You said they are on there, the labor costs? Yeah.
Okay.
And non-labor.
Yep, okay, cool, thank you. All right, so we did that, so now we are. We're gonna.
Yes. Okay, guys, I can't hear
Can't,
Melissa.
we need to speak here, please, thank you. Uh-huh. I'm sorry, can
I'm
you say
sorry,
it
can
again?
you repeat that, Melissa?
Yep. Okay,
And so the 2025 numbers are, the green off, but basically if we have the platinum plan, then you see we have the platinum plan.
Yes.
The insurance is, and I gave it like a 22% increase for the, you know, 6 months, 6 months better than 20 months. It's looking like 71,000.
Yeah.
And it's over 29.
okay,
Yeah, we usually look on the Vermont.
Health
plan
Connect.
for Health Net, where they show all the premiums and prices on there. And we look at the prices on there and how we.
Yeah, if you have those in the quarters, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah, if you actually
gotta
send them
log in.
along, that would be fantastic.
yeah, you have to log in
Amazing.
with the numbers and stuff.
All right, so I'm gonna start
Let's go.
to,
How about this?
okay.
Where are you going?
We're going to the top of page 3. All right. Fees, copier expenses. Electricity, no.
You going down through one by one?
What?
Are you going down through one by one?
Yes.
I can't really understand.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
just
well, she's
trying to
she's
speaking
trying
to
figure
myself,
this
I'm
out.
getting my brain into it. Okay, so copiers staying basically the same. Bank fees, don't have any control over those. Education in the office, 2,000 up from 15. Oh, we'd have to look at what that is, but we are gonna be training a new town clerk.
Yep,
So we're gonna have to make sure that we have the LCT and support here.
yes.
Electricity stays the same. Electricity at the office is up just a little bit.
That should be disappearing hopefully this year.
Yeah, so good.
What was that, Howard?
The electricity bill should be disappearing, that eval, when you see that money for eval, that is basically our, cost for, the remodeling of the building that Remount Power gave us when they, did the solar field. They gave us an interest-free loan to put the, deck in and do the whole building inside and out. So that should be done this year.
And then that will
Are
eliminate
you
this.
talking 26 year or 25 year?
I believe this summer it's done.
So for fiscal year 27, that 7560 will be gone. It's
Yeah.
there this year, but that is.
But you
kind
just
of-
said this summer, which is 20.
Yeah, I don't know the exact date. I can't, recall on the exact date. That would be something the clerk and the treasurer would have to do. But also with the electricity, it will be changing again because of our solar power, and solar costs will be covering all our costs of our electricity for both buildings.
Okay, I'm sorry if I ask, but I get very confused to me, next year is 25.
Yeah, it's hard because we're in fiscal, we're looking at 26, yeah, so.
So
the
that's why
hard part.
sometimes I ask for
No,
clarification.
that's okay.
Yeah.
That's all good. We're staying the same for legal notices. Mileage is up a little bit because I'm sure that's because of miles we pay. So mileage, standard mileage. Office supplies is the same, cleaning supplies is the same, election supplies is down because there's no major election, just town meeting. Let's see, postage, the same. Insurance is up a little bit, but that's not something that we have control over. It's not too bad though.
Yeah,
Sure.
So I think the actual property tax, I think it's paid quarterly. So if that 1991 P7 is the quarterly payment that may be paid during the current year, you should find out before, so you want to jump on that.
Okay, thank you.
okay, thank you.
I'm just, we'll make 2,000 then, because basically what it is.
What was that?
8,000, we change it to 8,000 because the 1991.87 times 4 is gonna be a couple dollars short of 2,000.
That's through the state. We do passive insurance for both our buildings.
Yeah. All right, let's see, public use areas is down a little bit, take 220 off of that. Recording supplies is the same, small equipment purchases is the same, even though we haven't used it yet this year, which is good news. I think that our phone, Contract is up this year, at some point, and we should shop around for one that's not so ridiculous, but, we'll cross that bridge. We should have it budgeted in case we can't switch, but we should be able to switch to something.
So is that why it's lower? Because it looks like the 3,000 is low compared to what you're paying now. Because we've already got.
Well, that's half of the, yeah, so that's the thing. We had 3,500 budgeted. Half of that is 1936. We're a little more than half, so we're a little bit over budget on that. So the goal would be to shop around and have something lower, because we know that contract expires. Let's see, 183, so that's a monthly payment. Nope, that's a, yeah. Wait, what is that? Trash collection. 8.83 trash collection below telephone. It says we had 1,500 budgeted, 12% of the
That
budget.
might also include the trash at the town garage too.
Yeah, but if you see the difference.
No, it
between-
doesn't.
No, the garage has their own.
But it says here, well, my question is the fact that we're going from 1,500 to 360, and
But if you look at
not-
the actuals aren't supporting that 1,500 budget.
Okay, so right now, yeah, I'm not actually just trying to figure out right now why we decreased by 1140 when, I'm not sure that.
Well, I'm just looking at fiscal 24 actual is only 383, and fiscal 25 to date, almost half a year is 180. So
Yeah, but it
I'm not
says-
sure where the 1,500 came from last year's budget.
Okay, so it says the 183 is 12.2% of the budget. So I'm just trying to figure out.
Yes,
Um,
if it's relevant to this.
So, yeah, so it's, yeah, so 1,500, if 12% of the budget, 12.2% of the budget at $183 is 12.2%, that does total up to 15, but that is a number that I do not understand, and that will be a good
This is
question.
of the office budget.
This is under office expenses, yes,
Yeah,
and so I'm just gonna, I'm just
When
gonna
you
question.
say percent of budget, is it the overall office expense budget including?
Oh, no, of that line item, of that line item. 12.2.
Yes, the line item is that percentage of the overall, including salaries? and-
No.
No.
Okay, what is?
It's 12.2%. The $183 is 12.2% of $1,500. So, okay, can I just, so my question is how we've gone from 572, 383, what the jump is, why we had a big budget, and then we're back down to 360.
Well,
And
I
that's a question that
I
has to
think
be
you need to
asked.
look at the percent of budget column, because they might just be saying 183 divided by 1,500 is 12.2%. They might just be calculating. So it might not be a number you really want to go by.
Well,
I
that's
don't
why I
know.
want to ask questions about it.
Yeah, it is 12% of the.
Yes, I know.
183. Okay, so. that's
All right.
what it is.
Town hall repairs and maintenance, looks like we've
Sorry,
trimmed that
Kathy,
by
what-
a little
yep.
bit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just wondering, under the town office expense, the small equipment purchases, if that would be a place to put a PA system?
Maybe,
Oh,
that's a
yeah.
great idea. We'll kind of put that in, we'll have to price that out.
We also talked about projecting for Zoom presentation.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cupola out, interest, woo-hoo, done. Town report printing. Last year was 400. Okay, so we had it 350, we actually paid 861, we put 400, and we haven't printed yet this year.
We're up to 7.
So we should probably, so it increased by, right, so we made this budget before we printed last year, and it was 861, so it's good that we're up to 750. Probably should be a little bit more. Should we do it at 1,000? Because we were over 750 last time we printed.
Or print less.
We could print less. And
That's-
maybe what we,
that's-
maybe what we do is just use
Yes.
it.
Up to that number.
No, I was just gonna say, maybe what we do is print less, and then if we have people who want it after we run out of printed copies, we just make copies of it. Or maybe we make specific copies with
It's
changes.
online too.
Yeah, so maybe we print less here.
How many do you print?
Pardon me?
How many do you print?
Not a lot. We used to
I don't know.
print boxes of these
We
things.
print, I don't know, probably 25 maybe, because it's available online and people who can get it, but it's because it's,
I think it's 50,
I'm
actually.
gonna say 25 is pretty
No,
low.
I think it's 70, we actually printed, because that's the maximum amount of people that are allowed in the room. And so we thought 70 would be the amount that we would hand out. But we always have leftovers, and we used to print like 200 of them.
Yeah,
So it's like,
so
up in recycling.
we'll probably print 50. Yeah, Melissa, thank you.
Would you consider adding, the tax anticipation note interest in, as a possibility, because I know we've been voting on the reserve funds. And I think we're way over it.
Do you mean the interest payment or the principal payment?
Where it says and interest payment.
Okay.
So,
Do you have is there a number that you would be comfortable kind of saying out loud that we could put there? Cause I got nothing for that right now off the top of my head.
I don't know how much more we have. So it's been 2 years for me, but,
Okay, I'll put a question mark there and we can talk about
I don't
that.
know if it's $100,000 you get and then use it for 6 months and the interest rate it.
It's pretty low, but yeah.
Whatever.
Okay.
Because the tax anticipation loans are gonna be.
Yeah, we have to do that because we cut it so close before. It was just like we didn't have money to actually sometimes hit payroll.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
and that's why I think having that line of it.
That's probably a good idea.
Just in case.
Okay, thank you. All right. All right, printing miscellaneous 250. Good. No, Addison County Sheriff and Fire Protection is, yeah, not something we have any control over. With the rescue kind of up in the air right now, how do we want to do it since we don't have, and you're meeting with them tomorrow, right?
Yes. Wednesday. That's tomorrow.
Yes, no,
No, 2
tomorrow's
days.
Tuesday.
We're running together.
Do we want to just kind of leave that at 10,000 for right now until we have more information?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, yes.
Can you tell me what the Addison County Sheriff does for the town? 'Cause I never something on my.
Okay, I can really explain this fairly well. The Addison County Sheriff is, they're more on duty now. They're like from 7 in the morning to like 5 Monday, and now they're actually doing Saturdays and Sundays.
So they're in.
They sit certain places in Canton, and we've actually kind of said, we collect X amount of dollars from revenue from tickets, and it's so small as like maybe collect maybe $500 or $700 from tickets, and we've incurred a year.
No.
Year, yes, yeah.
I mean, we
So
contract with them about 4 hours a week.
it's 7 or 8 hours, and we're actually asking, don't sit and do radar in front of the, on Penton Road here by the
Telecom.
Yeah,
telecom building, because everybody knows you sit there. So we're asking him to do more traveling around and going down people's driveways, going by people's houses, and make sure we don't have break-ins, go down to the park and to the boat docks and stuff like that, because for $700, it's like,
Yeah.
well, we're going down like, just kind of driving by and making sure
Turn
everybody's,
around.
because we've had break-ins in Addison. That's how it all started, where we had all those break-ins, because people would pull out of their driveway and a car was sitting on, let's say, on Turkey Lane. He would lay down and people would go, okay, they're gone, and they would go to the house and break the house. So
When was this?
Were they finding
Well, that was an
criminals?
example.
that's an example. That happened probably.
Is there some progress with this plan?
I mean-
Are they accomplishing anything?
I think they're, my understanding is they're a little bit more visible since they're not sitting in one location, they're moving around more. Because again, we only
It acts as a
contract,
deterrent,
Yeah,
basically.
And there's.
Yeah, I
Yes.
see them on the-
I do all the time, and, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think they're around, I think the most important thing is that they're moving around versus being, in one spot. And again, for the amount that we pay for 4 hours a week or 16 hours a month, we're trying to get the biggest bang for our buck. And I don't think that with the revenue that we're collecting, having him trying to stop people for speeding is that, you know, and then if there's a really big problem, like we were having a big problem on Lake Street and Flying Road and like people, there was like drag racing going on. Like we definitely try to push them in that direction so that we know. No, but that's one of the reasons why we started moving them around so that they were more visible in different parts of the town.
So they wouldn't be just obviously they're sitting in one spot and they're gonna sit there for a couple hours and, you know, they're usually just talking on the phone or they're just, looking at their phone. So it's like, it's more advantageous for them, at least drive by somebody's house and make sure that, you know, as a form of deterrent.
Is there any way to get different times?
Yes, we talked to them about that too.
I mean, I live on Van Road, we go 100 down every night.
I know, yeah.
There's like spoilers.
I live on.
We just don't have, I mean, we could get more coverage from Virgins, but it literally costs like 10 times as
So
much.
I called her, and my neighbor's house was being broke into, and they told me it wasn't their jurisdiction.
Exactly what they will tell you, but for us to contract with Virgins PD is about the same as a fire contract. It's like $50,000 a year.
Yeah, they presented, like, it's.
I mean, they came and did a full presentation. They wanted us to buy them a new police vehicle and we were like, we just can't do that. I mean,
Well, this question is not necessarily to add more time, it's to mix it up. Don't always start at the same time in the morning.
well, I don't think that they're doing,
Yeah,
I don't think they're doing
we
that.
encourage them to do that, and it's just like, maybe I have to get a hold of the sheriff again to make sure that happens, and that's probably what I'll try to do, is talk to them about that and try to get more patrolling around, because again, the revenue from sitting there at Wakefield Telecom building is like.
That's a waste of time, just, you know,
Yeah.
everybody knows they're there.
Right, well, that's the point.
And I'd rather have them just go down, you know, Slang Road or go someplace else and just see what's going on.
That's true too, but like he's talking about, the traffic is so fast, if I want to cross the road,
Yeah, right.
I don't dare, if I hear a car, I stop and wait
Well,
for the car to go through.
Well, the problem is again, most of their services they offer, unless something comes through on 911, is between 7 and 5. That's just
a waste of time.
that's the reality. Whether we like it or not, that's when we get them to be on our roads.
Right.
And it's limited. I mean, again, we could get more coverage from Virgins, but it would cost us 10 times as much money.
Right.
So I don't, there's no good answer. So we just, I mean, I guess it's something, a conversation to continue having, because I don't know what the solution is.
We don't want their service, let's waste the time.
Well,
But then we
again,
could have 0 service, which means only service at 911. So-
That's what we had before we had the big character who did 140 break-ins in surrounding area.
So,
That's why we hired the sheriff.
Right.
Okay?
and so
And
the,
if we're not getting much result from their use, we've got a trooper living right next door, we can ask him to bring us.
he doesn't live there anymore. He doesn't live there anymore.
I mean,
Oh, he doesn't.
the reality is that, for us, we can we can ask them to increase their, you know, like times and shake up their daytime hours, but we don't control them. We can only request that. And the other part is most of what they're doing now is not, they're hopefully by being around, the break-ins are usually happening during the day, which is,
We had break-ins.
no,
I don't know.
Well, okay.
They haven't
So I
done it.
haven't heard of any break-ins.
Yeah.
right, so that's good.
So what I'm saying, that's an expense, okay? You gotta look at expenses that perhaps we can cut back on, because I'm trying to help you guys figure out where to cut back.
But the
John,
question is
I-
are people willing to go to wanna live in a town that has no police coverage at all? That may be true, but that may not,
It is true.
okay. So
Well,
all I'm
let's just-
saying,
Let me just do a quick poll. How many people don't want the sheriff?
What are they, I'm sorry, what's it?
How many people do, want to cut the budget?
Meaning you wouldn't have any, okay, wait, that means that you would only have, it would mean that if we cut the sheriff and don't add in Virgin's PD, that means we would have only 911 covered by the state police.
Well, that would say $7,500.
Yes.
Something different about it, it's not that I don't want them, it's just that I'm not sure that the patrol is working
Do they?
for the town, what results that
I know, I was gonna ask, do they actually give out tickets for speeding, or what do they do?
Yeah, they do.
Do we know how much the tickets they've given out a year, is it worth?
Yeah, we collect about $600, $700 in revenue.
It comes to us?
Yes.
Yes.
But that's 10% of what it costs.
So
But also, like you said, we don't know that there have been any break-ins, so the other side of that is them being around and driving around and being in different places maybe is serving as a deterrent.
You know, we couldn't have.
Okay, I mean, there's all sorts of woulda, couldas, shouldas, and I understand what you're saying. Thank you. Terry, did you have a question?
You had a question?
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right.
All right. So. Page.
The fire, just a quick question, the fire, the 26,000 in the actuals, is
The-
that the first, is that like?
That's
half?
halfway.
Yeah, they give us half.
That's halfway,
So it's 52 for 40.
correct. And again, that's not a number we can control. All right, so, do you wanna look at page 4 and then be good for now, and then we can come back and do one more?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have all the things.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ken.
Just before you start, I have a question. So you have Becky Condon working here now, and I don't know if it's still true or not, but you had somebody from the Pearisburg Town Clerk's office balancing the checkbook in previous minutes. How are you, what fund are you paying these people out of?
Well, it's a general fund, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, probably
Yeah, the
general
general fund.
Yeah,
There's no special.
and so they're probably contracted people,
We have contracted services.
contracted services.
Okay,
Pardon me?
they're
Okay.
Under accounting services?
thank
All
you.
right, great, thank you.
All right, so, that's where we are. Accounting services.
So I had just a general comment on these services overall,
Okay,
and I hate to say it, but I think they probably need to be, I'm just looking at the fiscal 24 actuals. And they're pretty much the same. I'm mainly looking at the audit, external, 12,000. We're talking 2 years from 24 that we're budgeting in 26. Well, I can tell you.
Happy
they're-
news,
they're
we're not gonna get audited, so we don't need to budget for it.
Well, are we not? Are we gonna look for other auditors, or are you?
well,
We're gonna work through
let me
VLCT on that.
explain that. I can, I don't know if you heard me, but the auditor, the Telling and Hillman and Associate, they are, Mr. Telling has an illness and he's not doing audits. So Sam, Hillman is the only one who's actually doing audits, and she called me today and basically dropped us, saying they don't have time to do us. And talking to Becky Condon today, she said in Heinsberg, they're just going to get a little piece of paper saying it's not the town's fault, it's Telling and Hillman's fault. And I talked to VLCT today, and they said, you can't do that. You actually have to have physical numbers that show up on your town report. So you can't just write a little piece of paper, sorry, it's coming in, 2 months from now. That's not gonna cut it with the state. So.
So we're looking.
We're
So
figuring
I
it
guess the
out.
And we're
question
gonna
is,
use
what
them
is our
guidance.
plan for fiscal 25?
Well, we're in fiscal 25, we
For an
haven't
audit?
paid for that
Well, you're
yet,
saying they won't
so
do the audit for fiscal.
we're not gonna be
25.
doing an audit, we're gonna be working through VLCT, accounting
What
services and a
we're going to-
CPA.
Basically, what we're trying to do is have Becky Condon bake the cake, make all the parts and do all the heavy lifting, get everything in order. And then give it to, I don't have to have an audit, I can have a CPA look at it
And sign off on it.
and sign off. But again, I have to make sure I can find a CPA that's willing to do that, because there's work involved, and they have to feel comfortable, because actually their name is writing on that.
So it's likely that
Information.
whatever that we are gonna need for next year, we're gonna have money left over since we're not being audited this year. And so that may change our budget.
So we're
for
basically,
next year.
we're having a compilation.
So there is no requirement from the state to have audits.
No, there is not. There is just that you have to have somebody review, have a compilation.
Okay, Terry,
Is that what I'm talking about? Is that, that's what,
A compilation, it doesn't have to be
yeah,
There's really no restrictions.
Yeah.
okay, Terry, and then Kathy?
Two questions. What is Becky's role in Heinsberg? What's her job title? And also, are there no other auditing firms available in the state? Like, why don't?
Pretty hard to find one, believe it or not.
okay, I've spent like 5 hours, probably the last week and a half, looking for auditors, because Telling and Associates told us, they sent us an email, it will be ready to look at, come and give us a look at our books in close to the end of January. And I'm going, no, that doesn't work, because I have to bring the stuff to the printer, and it has to get voted on by the select board, and it has to go through that process. So we were sitting on that, and then all of a sudden, today, I was asked, I called them last week and said, can you give us a firmer date on this? Can it be in the end of December? Because we've always been asking them to do it in August, so we don't have this rush period to get this on. And then Sam from Hillman goes to me, no, Howard, we're dropping, because we have so much work, we're not gonna get it all done. And Heinsberg's not gonna have their audit done at all.
So I think that, what Becky's doing, I think her job is what she's doing here. She helps them out, looks at their books, she does part-time for them, accounting services.
So she's not the town.
She is not the
She's
town
not-
clerk,
she's
she's
not
a
even a
contracted,
CPA.
she's a contracted government bookkeeper.
She's
Similar,
a,
yep.
I guess you would call it, I don't know a better term, as a number cruncher, is that Melissa?
But she isn't a CPA.
No,
Well,
Is she qualified?
I just.
Yes.
If we've got a legal deadline that we have to resist.
So we're working with the LCT, because we're not the only town that's hitting that, Vermont, right, League, the League of Cities and Towns, and trying to come up with a way to check all the boxes if we don't have an auditor. But again, we found this out today, so we're working on it.
yes.
Kathy?
So I'm not sure that I think we're still gonna have to spend the money. It's just a matter of which year we spend it in. I mean, because if you spend it in 26, aren't you gonna have to more or less have 2 years of audits?
Well,
The question is, if you get a new auditor, a new company, and they like to go back 2 years,
What are they expensive?
okay,
just, John, they go back 2 years and review the audits or the books of 2 years. But Sam asked me, told me, he goes, if you find somebody who is willing to audit the book, I will have a conversation with them and say you only have to go back a year, not 2 years. I don't know
So
if the auditing company would say, oh yeah, I'm good with that, or not. It's just,
we're just up in
we
the
have
air.
people's names on stuff.
We just don't know. I mean, I'm sure we won't scratch that from our line budget, but we don't, like, if we're able to, according to VLCT, have the numbers get crunched and have a CPA sign off on it, or whomever sign off on it, the question is that sufficient for a year, and then we only have to have an audit once every 5 years? Like, that's the question we have, right? So if we don't have to spend this money every year, then we won't, but
I think the way it works is, no CPA is gonna sign off on something without doing the work. So you're gonna get what you pay for at the end of the day. The CPA can do a compilation and express no confidence in the numbers if they just compile them. They can do a review, they can do an audit. But if you have somebody come in to do an audit 2 years from now, and you didn't have an audit the year before, they are gonna have to, if you want an audit, they are gonna have to audit those beginning balances, which means the prior year, to get them right. To Kathy's point, it's gonna cost you probably double. So
Yeah, and we're trying to figure this out because we weren't anticipating having to hire new
Yeah,
auditors.
it's just, it's just,
Yeah.
I thought she was calling me to tell me, good news, Howard, we're gonna get this done in December.
Right.
Good news, bad news, Howard, we're dumping you.
Yeah,
So I
that
guess
was-
you're saying just leave everything. the way
we're
it
just
is.
gonna leave it the way it is right now. Mary,
So I'm still confused how we're paying for the accounting services this year, you've got 600 in the budget, but that's not very many hours for
Becky,
Patty. Are you gonna use the audit services external budget, the 9,800 to pay her? But I think you're increasing the scope of work for what you're asking for her.
Yeah, we're gonna have-
Asking her to basically do.
but we're gonna have to totally readjust because again, we had budgeted the money for an audit. That's not gonna happen. So we do have extra money that,
You're gonna have her do some of the audit function.
Yes, we're gonna have her do the compilation.
In addition to fixing all of the other problems.
right, and so we're hiring her for more hours, but we're not having an audit done. So we may have to move money from one line to the other, right? But the money's there for an audit, so we're just having her do some of that audit work.
Well, and that's what I'm
Okay,
saying.
wait,
we have
hang
to
on, let
be
Mary finish,
cautious.
please. Hang on,
In addition to the other work that you already hired her to do.
correct.
Right.
And do we still yet have an estimate for her of how much time that's gonna take? So that you can even verify whether the $9,800 is covered.
Well, again, we're trying to think on our feet here because we don't know where we're at in terms of the audit. Right now, that $9,800 is not gonna go to Teller and Hillman, right? So
Right, but
it's-
probably already committed to what the work you've already hired her to do is.
I don't think we've hired her for $10,000 worth of work, but, we would have to look at,
Have you asked her how many hours she thinks it's gonna take to fix the mistakes?
when we hired her, it was gonna be like 4 to 8 hours a month.
This is Becky.
Yes,
The
so,
newspaper had her at 14 hours.
Does she have the bandwidth to do what you're asking her to do, to come in now and kind of do what the auditor was in, pile all this stuff? Does she have the bandwidth to come in and?
Kevin, I did talk to her this, before the meeting started, and I asked her about that, I said, is that something you're comfortable doing? She goes, that's what I basically do in Heinsberg. I punch the numbers, or as I've been saying, make the cake, and then I just hand it off to the town treasurer. She looks at the numbers and makes sure they're good, and then she does a stamp of approval, and then she gives it to the auditors to go through the numbers. And that's the assumption, and, that's as much as I can really kind of get.
right now, the wheels are falling, we're trying to drive this bus. And there's no driver because we don't have an auditor, so we just gotta rethink it, right? And again, this wasn't the plan as of 8 o'clock this morning, it's just the plan as of this meeting, because we have that different news. So we're gonna have to readjust and figure this out. Because when these numbers were put in, we still thought we were having an audit.
Yes.
I think it would be helpful if Becky was asked to come to the next select board meeting, so we could hear from her,
Yes.
her thoughts about this.
We can see if she's available. She has, some,
Yeah.
issues at home that she's dealing with, and so we'll see what she's available.
Okay.
I will ask her.
Okay, yep. Planning and zoning. So, planning and zoning. DRB planning notices, I don't know, I'm curious as to why that's up double, but I'm not sure. Hey, Mary, are these numbers, did these come from you guys, or the DRB notices and the legal expenses? Okay. All right, so it's up 150. the
Are
DRB
those
stuff.
actual numbers for you guys?
Never been asked for a number. And as far as the notices, we get a fee for every one of those, so yeah, there's an expense, but it's
Okay.
covered by the fees.
Okay,
We charge $300 for anything that needs a hearing.
okay. We'll ask about that. Let's see, zoning and then mileage. All right.
Yeah, sure, Melissa.
You already left this category, but it is services, that's that $2,500.
I'm sorry, where are you?
Up the other section, you already left it, the attorney legal.
Oh, attorney legal service, yes.
So that dropped down to 2,500, and I think just given everything that town's going on, solar and.
Yeah, we may, well, yeah, that may be a number that we want to relook at. Thank you.
And then, so I think the state of Vermont made a requirement for education for all board elected officials. They're asking classes, starting at the end of the verse, so the select board will have to take classes as well as maybe I don't know, so the education for zoning or year, it should go out a number in there. That's what is the question. And then I know Mary was talking about the board. And I don't know how that's going to be addressed, but is that something that should be put into the plan zoning section so that they can get the needs as possible?
Okay, we'll certainly look at that. All right. Planning, okay, zoning, all right, Addison County Court. Dog 50, that's the same. Registered Addison County, okay, Bixby Library is the same.
Oh, wait a minute, you said Bixby Library?
Uh-huh,
Big question on that one. Why is that still at roughly 15,000?
they haven't asked us for more?
Well, we can't afford.
Okay, wait, hang on.
Every time I say.
I
anything,
understand
but
that.
I'm the only one.
You're
you jump on.
interrupting.
You're not.
He
I'm
is
the
speaking
only one
and
you
you're
jump on,
interrupting,
And I'm
please.
getting tired.
Okay. David, I'm sorry?
Question is, why is it that much? And the question is, you want to cut budget somewhere?
Yeah.
Just because they asked for 15,000 doesn't mean you gotta give 15,000.
Okay, and that's a,
You can't afford it.
okay, that's up until last year, that was its own voted on, correct? It's its own voted on thing and then.
No, it's always
and-
been on this for a couple of years.
It's always been in the budget.
So,
It's been in the budget as long as we've been.
so
But they
it's,
say things aren't in the budget.
what?
You're saying there's other stuff that needs to be cut from the budget. So what's the reasoning for giving them more?
Because 5 towns contribute to the running operating budget of that library. And it's per capita, yeah.
Did you get anything out of that?
Oh, library services. Okay, so if,
Yeah.
It's
I have
a
2
great
kids, so
library.
I love the library, and I hate students. But it's certainly something we look at.
It's part of our community, and I guess I would say if the majority of the town says, I don't want to use the library or anything like that, and get rid of it, well, the question is, that's like arguing, like, I don't have any kids in
I mean-
school, so I don't want to pay for schools.
yeah, it's one of those things that we can say, I mean, we can certainly have the conversation. John?
It's a point well taken. All right, because, again, we can't sustain our town budget. And if we can't find other ways to cut our budgets, well, we can't afford to participate in some of these things. As valuable as they may be, that's the nicest building in the surrounding community. I've always been for it, but if we can't afford it, we can't afford it. And so I'm back to the same old point I've been trying to make. We've got to sharpen our pencils somewhere because these residents in the town of Patton can't afford another 33% increase. So this is on the table, okay? As sad as that may be, because I'm a very educated person, I appreciate libraries. I appreciate the architecture of that building. But if we can't afford it, we can't afford it.
Okay, I'm kind of tapped out, I don't know about you.
Well, let's just finish this.
Okay.
We have $50 for green update, that's a typical amount.
Yep.
That also includes,
VLCT dues.
that's something that's fixed.
Yep.
Other dues, I believe that's also for the clerk association and also the treasurer association. Yes, Dave?
No.
Oh,
It's trying to explain the
I'm
basic.
explaining this.
And I'm not sure, we haven't addressed the reserve funds yet, so.
Terry, yes.
Back to the basic. John's comments from earlier. I thought the basic was part of the list of
That's,
organizations that came to
I
us.
thought it used to be that.
And how did it get in budget and not back to that?
It's been in the budget since, as long as I can remember.
I don't know about that, I feel like.
Go ahead, hold on, let her.
It used to be part of the, and the library board, we drawing from times there, and they wanted to know if we could just consider being voted to depend on us to support them for capital. We went to every single town, and we put it in as an article. So we voted.
I think so.
Added to our budget every year for the.
That's correct, Melissa, but again, the point is well taken, it's what we can do. And, that's why we're all here.
All right, so,
And so everything should be on the table.
okay, so Lister software is the same.
So in other
The
words, nothing's gonna happen with this.
No, we're just, that's something we can have a conversation about, but we're not, we can't make a decision. We're not gonna make a decision the second, we're gonna contemplate that and look at, once we change some of the other numbers, how things shake out and look at what the, how the numbers all come out at the end. Before we start cutting things that we could cut, but we prefer not to. So let's start with what, like some of the, we made some big adjustments in our winter and summer, what do they call, highway funds, and so those things. So we'll start there and see how it shakes out, and have on the list of, side list of things that we could cut, but would rather not, and if we don't have to, that would be better, right? So, and that's on the list. Mary, and then John, and then Dave. Yeah, that needs to be changed. It'll be $2,500 because that's what the reserve fund always is.
So that reserve fund,
I think that was a mistake on the line item.
Yeah,
Yeah, that shouldn't have been.
so, yeah.
So that shouldn't be in there, didn't it?
Right.
I think originally that got put in there back when the emergency fund was a surplus.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was why it was added as a surplus item.
So it's not.
But again, I caution you when you say take it out. I just want to make sure, and I don't know if this is what you mean, but these numbers should always agree to your voted budget. If it was in your voted budget, you don't just pull it out, you leave it there.
Yeah.
You may not budget for it this year, but don't pull it out.
Right.
Right, yeah, we have,
Right, it's there.
don't we have to vote on moving that line item, or actually our next budget when we create it, then that's when we can pull it out, is that correct, Kevin?
Well, no, I'm saying you did it probably right. You're just showing zero, but it was literally in your voted budget amount that taxpayers voted on. So
Right.
just don't pull it off your sheet.
Correct,
Right.
that's why it's there.
I agree.
Okay.
Your question, go ahead.
I was just curious who when you said we will decide, who decides on that.
Well, ultimately, it's the select board, once we shake out the numbers and see if it's a,
And so what happened?
Back to the, so my main question is like back to culverts. I got a culvert from my house, it's too small, my basement, two other houses, basements are flooding, because you can't handle the water. So who decides on that?
well, what, I mean, we're gonna have, Rick is gonna be prioritizing the culvert work that has to be done. And then from there, and that's a totally different line item, and we have to look at all of those numbers together.
And so what really happens on the budget, you have actually a say. It's not our budget, it's not the select board's budget, because you get to vote on it.
Right.
If you don't like the budget, you have an option to say,
Vote
no,
down.
I don't want this budget. And then we have to go back and revisit the budget to figure out how to do that. So it's not really our budget, it's our budget. everybody's budget, and you get to decide that, and I would suggest that you have these discussions and what, line up the people who agree with you on your position, and then encourage them to vote the way that you think is important, for or against, whatever you determine, that is your right as, you know.
Right, but there's never a vote on what culverts to replace.
Right, because that is the job of the road foreman. And the best thing to do is to have a conversation with him. But
But it sounds like he's saying he's not giving the budget to change culverts.
And
Got
our
a
culvert,
budget to
yeah,
prioritize.
he has to prioritize because we can't afford all the budgets
So
that,
our house is flooding priority.
I'm not saying it's not a priority. I'm just saying we have to, as,
That, let me talk to Rick and see what we're doing on that, and see where we're standing on that. Let me find out more information on it. This is the first we've heard of it, so again, you
I
know,
put paperwork in the town office, 2 other families have as well.
Okay.
3 houses flooding because of the culvert.
and I understand it, but again, you know, we aren't micromanaging what goes on here. It's more of like, if we look at it more of like generalization what happens here. So it would be beneficial for me to go talk to Rick and bring the information back to the select board and say, this is what we need to do, and then we can direct Rick to do this, or whatever we feel it needs to do, and listen to your problem. Yes, nobody's house should be flooded. I agree with this.
It's happened 3 times this year.
I'm not disagreeing with you, that's a problem, that probably should be fixed, but again, I just can't pick up the phone and call Clinton and say, you know, start digging tomorrow, you know.
I get it, nobody's asking for that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I just want to make it clear, I'm gonna meet with him tomorrow on some other stuff, and I'll ask him something. Is that enough answer for you?
It is, thank you.
yeah, okay. Go ahead.
Do you have any place in the budget that you foresee you can make any reductions?
I think we just made a ton of reductions in the highway budget.
Yeah, we gotta redo those numbers.
And, I think there's gonna, like, there was a lot of reductions, and then we're gonna go back at the front with, oh my gosh. The end of the day. We are still working, like, this is the first time, this is the revised budget, and so we are considering every line. We look at every line and take any place that we can make any sort of reduction.
And we'll go back and review everything
We do
we
it
have.
2 or
and-
3
And
times.
then we'll look what the total cost is, what the financial cost is. What we'll look at the costs is, and then what we really try to estimate, we look at a house at an average house of $350,000 value, see what the cost is, and the increase of the tax rate to that house. And we're saying, like, if it's $70 or $80, we're kind of somewhere in the ballpark in the increase. But if it's like $200, $300, we're going, okay, we need to find how to fix that. That's what we're really trying to do. That's how we really actually do that. We're not really concerned about a $5.6 million house on, you know, on the lake.
We're just gonna, basically,
just-
we go through line by line, more than once, and try to make sure we can take every reduction possible. And so what does that mean? That means that we're certainly not done.
Yes.
That's what I can
I'd say
say
we
for
probably
sure.
have maybe 2, maybe 3 more meetings.
Yeah, Kathy and then Terry.
I'm skipping around here, but the highway department, I'm just curious why the highway crews is increasing so much more than the road foreman.
Wait, what?
On the highway department, highway staff salaries?
Oh,
It changed because when we hired Stone, we had that difference in salaries.
so,
Well, yes, but why is Jeff getting more of a change than Rick? He's getting $4,933 and Rick's getting $4,362.
I don't know. I have to crunch those numbers.
I mean, it
have
just
not.
doesn't seem right.
Okay,
Yeah, I
that's
understand.
fair. That's a fair question. I'm not sure. I'll have to look at that.
Terry, go ahead.
My question is about those separate funds, like the tire fund, and I can't remember, maybe
Yeah.
IT.
Mm-hmm.
that-
Town maintenance
That
fund.
we see, during town meeting, and the town report, but how, where does that come in? Can those things be looked at and used?
And some of those are reduced. Last year, we didn't put money, I can't remember what fund we did not put money in. We didn't ask for,
Jim, can I
citizens.
see your town report for a second?
Should they be listed with tires and highway?
Because,
Why are they separated that way? It feels smushy.
It's a reserve fund, so what a reserve fund is kind of like a savings account versus something that is spendable. Correct me if I'm wrong, reserve fund, like we put in the rainy day reserve, and it's a fund that continues to build money because $2,000 might buy one grader tire. So we fund that account every year, and it's separate from our regular budget, so that when we have to buy grader tires, we have money in a separate budget for it.
Is that just a?
Yeah, the reserve funds carry over, they're like
Maybe you have to see it, say something about it, in the total list, because should we just, tires.
okay, one conversation.
Couldn't Rick know, have a better idea of what he needs for tires this year? And why is it, you know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah, I think what we're gonna do, this is just the general fund. This does not include each one of those things you just talked about, those reserve funds, they're their own funds and have their own statements. We haven't even gotten to those yet, we're just looking at the general fund.
Right.
When we get to that, we'll look at other statements that are votes.
And we should make sure that we try to get.
Decide, and that's one thing I think we're gonna look at this year is look at the monies that are in them, and are they appropriately allocated, and do we wanna reallocate them through vote or whatever? It's all gonna be looked at. We haven't gotten, that's a whole other step for a whole other, I'm saying a whole other nice budget meeting just on that.
Yeah, 100%.
And we haven't even touched that.
Okay. All right, any other questions?
Do you want to schedule?
Yes.
Yeah, do that.
All right,
We'll get more of them.
we,
The web for town clerk.
did you, I don't know, if you make that.
Yeah, okay, well, let's do your,
Okay,
set up your dates and then.
So-
Yes, hold on, hang on, go ahead.
Does the salary increases, do they include the COLA?
I would assume so, I have not looked at
Yeah,
those
we
numbers
usually
yet.
go somewhere between 0 and 4%, somewhere, whatever. Then what happens is we go to Northeast CPI through, and we look at what CPI is for the Northeast. And usually, we can see what that is. If it's like 3, I think last year was like 2% or 2.
Yeah, but this number includes that. And
I don't know for sure, but I'm just saying that is how we determine.
Yeah.
Cost of living increases.
That's what I'm asking you, has
Right.
that been
That's what we're-
included in what you're presenting?
That's what we're asking, we'll have to ask that to make sure that we have, I believe it is, but I wanna make sure.
I think you need to make that clear.
Okay, that's, you're not wrong. Mary?
Hold on, quickly, website newsletter, was that, the actual, the 24, was that to do with the website?
Probably,
So does that need to be carried forward, because I, not really is like.
what number, where are you?
In the software expenses.
Okay, hang on, you're on page, is it page 4?
The question is.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, page 4.
Mhm.
Yeah, bottom section.
Okay,
You're looking at the 3,000.
Yeah,
Is that-
we'll have to check with the website
I
to
think
see
the-
about maintenance
I
and
don't know
like,
if there's a regular maintenance or cost for updating the website. I know Mandy puts changes in it, but I'm not positive on that. I'm not familiar how that actually goes. And we did put money away. We were hopeful to actually produce a couple of newsletters a year. To kind of like see what's going on in the town, to keep people informed. And again, that's something that they were looking at, and that was printing costs and also postage.
Okay, because the labor shall be in the salary.
Right, exactly. We print those here and we fold them and we do everything.
So just say. put it in like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work.
that's what, yeah, we definitely have to look at that.
Would there be a bill for it if there's
well, from the website.
required maintenance, I mean, that you have to pay for the website?
Right, and so that's what we have to check on, because we see the bills, but then the next 2 weeks later, we see a whole bunch of new bills, and so it's hard to remember all the bills that we see.
Yeah, we can look at that.
Melissa,
Yeah, I think it was in 2025, there was a $2,700 website hosting fee.
Mhm.
But I'm not sure if that was something that's gonna happen here or not.
Yeah, I think to hold your website. I think you're right.
But we'll check on that and make sure.
So there's a monthly $35 fee to the costs, access to.
Yes. Right, that's who did all our copy.
And so that is in there, right now, it's been in the reserve fund, and the digitization.
Okay.
And so we add 25.
So you want to pull that out of the digitization fund and move costs from digitization down to a line item?
No, it should be a line item in 2024 as well, it's one of the things I hope to suggest.
Okay.
Because reserve fund is for things that are on the.
okay,
And that's a number to keep every month.
Right.
Okay.
It really belongs in the.
Right.
okay, thank you, everybody. We are gonna try to find our next meeting time. Next week's the holiday week, we have a regular select board meeting, it's on Tuesday. So we can meet either the week after Thanksgiving. I have flexibility on the Friday after Thanksgiving.
Nope.
Okay, so do we wanna meet
It's
Monday.
your schedule, not my
Monday, the 2nd at 5:30, because that's not a regular select board night?
I'm gone all that week. I'm in Denmark.
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah,
That's
right.
amazing.
Yeah, I know.
That's so good. Can we meet
schedule.
Monday, the 2nd?
December?
Yeah, the Monday, or whatever that Monday is.
Okay.
Monday, 12/2 at 5:30?
Sure.
That's just the budget meeting.
Mhm.
Yes.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the date?
Monday, 12/2 at 5:30. Regular select board meeting is next Tuesday on the 26th at 5:30, and then there'll be a select board meeting on the 9th at 5:30, on Monday, the 9th.
On Tuesday?
The select board meeting next week is on Tuesday, yes.
26.
Yep,
Yeah.
So what do we want to do with the 12-2 meeting? Do we want to do reserve funds, or do we want to?
we're gonna,
Give you an update on this?
we're
or-
definitely gonna get an update on this, and then we'll hopefully have more information moving forward from there on the reserve
I
funds.
can't promise an update on this, because Maggie's last day is Wednesday or
Yep.
Thursday at noon. So I'm going to have Becky do the best she can to kind of like move these things around for us. Again, so I don't know, I don't want to say yes, we're gonna have this update, but we can definitely talk about the reserve.
For sure.
Is that fair?
Yeah, and I'm just trying to think the best way to get the reserve funds adjustments that we need to get made. Because none of them were made here. The sheet I gave you, none of those have been made in the reserve funds. So I don't know how we want to, I guess, what's the plan to get them made?
Well, right now, the plan is to try to get this updated, get to the reserve funds, look at what needs to be done, and then we can make those changes, right? We can't
So you
until,
want to put the changing the actuals that are not correct in the ledger right now, we'll do that with the budget meeting at the beginning and then move forward. Is that what you're
yeah,
saying?
we can't do anything right now until we
Okay.
have any.
Okay.
Or
Does
anything else.
that make sense? Yes, Steve?
Yeah, I sent you guys just this afternoon.
Yeah, I got that. Thank you for saying it.
And, potentially, there's a lot of work to detail planned expenditures and income into those reserve funds. And trying to do that in this setting is really difficult, if not impossible. I'm just, suggesting that perhaps, and I know there's restrictions on how many select board members can
be present at the same time without having people to be happy to sit down and try to work through that process with any of you to try to, you know, get something brought out that makes some sense.
Okay.
I think what Steve is saying is one of the things we need before we even get to the reserve funds is we need the capital budget plan for everything for the next 5 to 10 years. That I think is what you're saying is our work.
Right.
So we need that information before you even get to have an educated discussion on the reserve. So I don't know if Rick needs to be involved, but there's definitely.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things in there that we have a 5-year plan on equipment that we been updating with him, and also he also has to update on his roads and 5-year plan on that. He also does that with us. So the other things, let's say like building maintenance, we're just looking at, you know, we have to save maybe $2,000 or $3,000 in 2 years or roofing floors and stuff to keep up with all the maintenance of the minor things that go on with this building. So, and
Right. But for each reserve fund, there has to be that conversation with the
Right.
person who's gonna make the decision or who is the principal involved. In the
Right.
And 5 years is not long. You need to be looking 10, 15, 20 years down the road so that the impact on the budget is minimal. Because you don't have to put that much money in 5 years for a $250,000 contract or whatever. And so there's a little bit of work to getting this in shape.
I would agree with that, yeah. You know, from my experience and my municipal experience, when we were buying something expensive, we always had a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 15-year plan on those items that were forecasted. But the trouble is forecasting on some of these items and changing of staff and changing their own makes it kind of.
But there's gotta be a way.
Are you saying like you need a list to start with
You need a list of all of the,
equipment?
for instance, let's just use the highway, everybody's interested in that, and it's a big thing. How many pieces of equipment do we have? When do we think that those are gonna need to be replaced? And what do we think that they're cost? It's all ballpark, we don't know, you know, what the exact time frame or expense is going to be, but unless you have those things, you can't put a plan together and then adequately fund those at a reasonably consistent level so that you don't end up with balloon payments or loan payments, which are the last thing you want to incur.
Okay, thank you.
I don't need to be preaching on that.
No, it's all good. That's it's good. It's a
No,
lot.
I'm
I'll
not
tell you
taking it that
if
way. I'm not taking it that way. It's just,
Make
I
a
mean,
motion-
there's always lots of places to do extra work.
Make a motion to adjourn.
No,
Oh, you can, we've got a couple other things.
we have to do
Not named,
Okay.
Yeah. I will. I'll make the motion that we have made an offer to a new town clerk. To hire a new town clerk. Then what? Who seconds it?
And then I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Not,
They
not,
haven't,
they
accepted
haven't
We
said
we
yes or
don't
no.
have to give out the name because if he doesn't, or she doesn't take the offer. we have to-
It's a swap, yeah.
And then the next person will be like reading our minutes and going like,
Oh.
yeah. So I can ask for more money or whatever.
No, it was an offer.
You don't do it.
Okay, and then what were you?
Approved an offer. Yeah.
So now.
Insider information, we'll see.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn,
Second.
in favor? Aye.
Thanks, bro.
No.
recording of the last select board meeting be online soon?
Of the last select board meeting, not the budget, meeting, the select board meeting, I assume so. I know that Maggie's been really busy trying to get everything.
Yeah, I figured she was doing the budget stuff,
Well, and
but
she's
the
getting-
minutes are done, but I didn't see the recording.
Yeah, and she's been getting ready to leave, so she's making sure it's organized. But I was meant to.
Did you stop